Let's try something a little bit different today and start with a game. You're going to see 4 flat lays of blush, A, B, C, and D. I will flash them full size across the screen for a couple seconds each, and then I will show them all at once so you can make your decision. Which one do you think shows my blushes arranged from smallest to largest, left to right? Leave your answer in the comments below, and at the end, we will see if you're right. I have too much blush. That is the too long didn't watch version of this video. And I realized pretty recently that I have made kind of a big deal out of having finished 2 of these little Tarte blushes. Emphasis on little. These are 0.05 ounces. These are really quite small. For comparison, this is what I think of as a pretty small blush that you could buy in the full size, and this is 0.1 ounces. So this is twice the size, which honestly seems wrong, but I'm willing to believe that Pacifica and Tarte know how to measure the product that they're using. Here's the thing. This is about 20% the size of my largest blush, which is this Physicians Formula Happy Booster blush, this pink one right here. Now, do I actually think that this Happy Booster blush is going to last me 5 times longer than this little sample Tarte blush will? Not really. I don't think I will get 5 times as many uses out of that blush as I will out of this one, because as so many off-color jokes begin, it's not the size, it's how you use it. I would tend to put that Physicians Formula blush all over my cheeks, across my nose. I might even mix it in with my bronzer and use it on my forehead or my neck, while this Tarte blush I would probably just pop on the apple of my cheek. And of course, the amount of blush that I use is likely different than someone with much deeper skin, or someone who prefers a super dramatic blush look, or someone who barely even wears a touch of blush. However, as we saw in those flat lays, I have quite a few blushes. I have quite a few pans of blush. We're not even talking about the 3 cream or liquid blushes that I have, or the eyeshadows that I'll use as blush. Are there other products that I use as blush? Yes, cream lipsticks I will occasionally use that way. There's so much color that can go on my cheeks. I definitely do not need any more, and you probably don't either. So, do you want to know how long it took me to use up 2 of these Tarte blushes? I owned Party for a little over 2 years. I want to say I owned it for maybe like 2 years, 3 months, 2.5 years. And I used that consistently every day for about a year. I would suspect that there was about a year and a half of everyday usage in that little blush compact, and it was this same size. I also had Harmony. Harmony and Party were fairly similar in depth. I think that Harmony was just a little bit lighter. It was also a little bit more pink. And it took me, again, about a year and a half of everyday, or the equivalent of a year and a half of everyday usage, to finish it. So if this is a tiny blush, and all of my other blushes, with the exception of this little NARS sample, are larger than that, quite often 3-4 times larger than that, how many years of blush do I have? I know that there are worksheets online. I can't use one of those worksheets. I'm just emotionally incapable of doing so. Not because I'm upset at the numbers, just because I can't. I'm a numbers person, and I cannot report a single statistic without having confidence bounds, especially when I suspect that there's, 50 to 200% error built in to that equation. So nerdy tangent aside, there is so much blush here, and I thought that this would be just a useful reminder to actually look at how much product you are purchasing, because it is incredible how much the amount of product that you can buy differs from item to item. So for example, these are both full-size blushes that you can get at the drugstore. This one is from Pacifica, this one's from Wet n Wild. And the Wet n Wild one does look larger, and it's twice as much product. Some blush fell on my skirt, and I don't know which blush it is immediately, which indicates to me that I probably have too many similar colors too, if I can't immediately figure out which one is the culprit for my currently very messy skirt. Oh, it's this one. It has little tiny chunks out of it. So definitely another reminder not to be purchasing any more blushes, because let's admit it, there are not that many truly distinct blush colors that I actually use. I mean, I could buy a bright purple blush and it would be very different from everything else I own. And it would also go completely untouched, because I really don't have many, if any, situations where wearing a bright violet blush would be appropriate. And the same goes for a lot of the more interesting colors that are currently on the market. And if I want to continue to try some new things going forward, and I suspect that as trends change, I will want to try things. I suspect that in a few years, really cool toned pink blush will be in again. And I don't have anything like that. I'll probably want to try that. But if I already have 15 years of blush or something similar sitting in my cabinet, I'm probably not going to let myself do that. So I need to just calm down, buy a little less. I brought in 5 blushes this month, which is insane. Now, in my defense, I did also get rid of one very large pan of blush that I actually think would have been the largest in this video if it was still in my collection. That was from e.l.f. It was They're Always Peachy, I think. It was one of their primer infused blushes. I ended up getting actually a very, very similar color in this quad. It turns out that they are not the same formula. I looked it up on e.l.f.'s website and the ingredients lists are very different. However, the color and the consistency on the 2 blushes were practically identical. So I ended up giving the other one to my sister, who is hopefully getting better use out of it than I ever would. So now let's add this up. I probably should have just done this on a calculator earlier, but let's go for it. 0.04, 0.09, 0.19, 0.38. So that literally, this one compact has as much product in it as the first 3 that I showed combined. Of course, I've used quite a bit of this, so there's a little bit less, but we're just gonna go with the full size at this point. So we're at 0.38, 0.57. These are 0.116 each, so we're just gonna call that 0.23, and we'll be at exactly 0.8. This is all in ounces, by the way. Nice and even, 0.2 ounces, 1 ounce. This is 0.22 ounces. There's only 1 blush in here. The other powders are bronzers, pressed powder, and highlighters. So we're at 1.22. 0.07, 1.29. 0.47, 1.76. And then finally, we have 2 blushes in this palette as well. California and Dandelion, so the two on the sides. And between those two, there is 0.2 ounces. So we're at 1.96 or 1.97. I kind of lost track there. But I have 2 ounces of blush. I believe that would be right around 60 grams of product. I think there is about 30 grams in an ounce. And does that add up with does my math give the same answer? Let me just check. Yeah, close enough. So I have 60 grams of blush, which is so much. And I learned a couple of interesting things as I was going through these numbers. First is what I'm going to call the Jurassic Park phenomenon. Blushes and palettes are larger than they appear. I feel like when you get a palette, you generally expect that you're getting relatively small items, and you are in comparison to the full sizes. Just to be clear, in general, unless they tell you that you are getting a full size blush, bronzer, or highlighter in a palette, you're probably getting a smaller version. However, even the small versions aren't small. Both of these would probably take me a year or more to pan if I focused on them pretty much exclusively. Additionally, I noticed that the more creamy formulas, not true creams because I am only talking about putter blush in this video, but just a little bit more moisture laden powders like this Pacifica blush are, I think, a little bit more dense than powders like this one from Tarte, because I think that these are very similar pan sizes, but this has about twice as much product in it. And I think that that is what accounts for the difference. However, I don't know how that actually plays out when using these. I don't know if it's volume or mass that makes a bigger difference and how much actually ends up on your cheeks to get you the effect that you're looking for. So just a few things to keep in mind, and I will put up the right answer from the beginning of the video. I hope this was interesting. I admit that it was a pretty rambly video, but I just thought that it was a little bit interesting. I was kind of surprised at how much the amount of blushes within my various compacts differed, and it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole on just how much product and how much time it would really take to use that product. So thanks again for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and I hope that I will see you in the next one. Bye.